there's always bottom feeders in every business. And there's always people that are all about the money. They're not about people's feelings. They're not about, people's lives. And it's unfortunate that people see opportunity in people's losses like this, but there's always going to be them. And, what like one resident was saying, there should be a moratorium on sales. You should not be allowed to sell. Like governor, stop the sales.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a cyber attack on the MLS. We're going to be talking about real estate investors targeting Hawaii real estate after the natural disaster. And then we're going to be talking about in or out, whether Shawn battles in or out on 3 properties across the United States. Shawn, let's talk. Start with an article from ARS Technica. Real estate market scramble following cyber attack on listings providers. So Rapatoni, a software that provides MLS multiple listing services to regional real estate groups nationwide, came under attack by ransomware, basically hackers wanting a lot of money and locking users out of the system. In the meantime, that occurred and it affected over 75,000 agents. So this isn't just one small town. Wow. This isn't just one little place that, doesn't have a big impact. This is 75,000 agents. Some of it is in Cincinnati. Some of it is in California's Sonoma County. And agents haven't been able to upload properties, haven't been able to change statuses, haven't been able to get information on listings, new listings, old listings, comparable sales. They've been locked out of the MLS. So, Shawn, we've talked about the bright MLS's incompetency when it comes to downtime, when it comes to errors, when it comes to features. But I don't recall Bright MLS ever being hacked. I don't recall it ever, being down for a long period of time. It's been down before and it's a hassle. But a cyber attack is something that we haven't seen before. No. And something that I don't think we think about as much as maybe we should. Shawn, what are your thoughts on a cyber attack on the MLS and what sort of impact that could have in the DC area?
This is really eye-opening. I have never even thought of that this could occur. It never even came to mind that, we could get hacked and all of a sudden you can't post things on the MLS. Do you know how basically you can't do anything? You can't do your job. I can't upload listings. I can't, do comparable sales like you were saying. Like, this stops all sales. And when you're all relying on one simple system, you're all going down. 75,000 agents that use this system. Think about how many people, how many listings that wanted to go on the market, that are trying to go on the market, that can't. Think about how many buyers that want to see these places can't. And this is why it's so crucial. Our system is, it works really well when it works. But man, when there's a disruptor like this, it can be catastrophic. I can't imagine. I would be going crazy because, this is the time when, we're seeing a lot. We're not seeing a lot of listings come on, but when we do, the buyers come running. And can you imagine if you put a listing on and then you can't get it off, right? You can't even do anything to it. What if you had contracts and now you have multiple contracts and you take it off the market and you can't take it off the market, and then people keep calling it, keep showing it. Can you even change that? Think about that. Think about the showing time system. Showing time system is it's a linked system in the MLS that allows you to show properties and you can make appointments. What if that goes down at the same time and you can still make appointments? You're still going to a house, but the owners don't want you to go. They can't do anything. They can't stop you from coming. Think about how much a disruption that could be to those people's lives. You're not even thinking of that in that regard, but man, knock, 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 knock. I'm sorry. Like, you have to post a sign. Sorry, you cannot, and think about the lost time of agents now driving to houses to show them and then they can't even show them.
So they interviewed an agent and the agent said that, she said, for instance, I'm showing clients 2 properties tomorrow. I had to call, text, email each agent to track them down to see if the statuses were still accurate. Both of them, were thankfully still available. And then I also had to scour Zillow for new information. isn't this just the agent doing their job? Like, don't you reach out to agents and say, hey, is this property still available? Don't you go on Zillow sometimes to make sure that the information is accurate?
Yeah, the good thing is there are workarounds. There's a lot of websites, but a lot of times these websites use feeds that are from the MLS. The good thing is they were saying, I think they have some workarounds. There are some other assets out there that supply information, not just this one. But think about all those people now. I mean, what if your whole area, Arlington, goes down? And not only that, that's a feed then that goes to Zillow. So your Zillow is down too because they're getting the same feed, right? I mean, I guess you could still do the research on there, but yeah, I mean, in these instances, you have to then pull yourself back and say, all right, well, we got to go back in time. We're going to now have to call everybody and spend actual time on the phone to make sure that these listings are still available. And that's what we used to do all the time. We didn't have a system where you could just press a button and say, yeah, I want to schedule it at this time. We actually had to get on the phone. And the weird thing is we weren't calling the agent. We were calling the homeowner. It was so weird, man. Like you're an agent calling the homeowner saying, hey, Patty, can I show your house at 5:00? Oh, yes, that's fine. Okay, thank you so much.
Do you ever sneak in a, hey, Patty, what's it going to take? Like any wiggle room here, Patty?
Yeah, I never did that. I think that would be against the whole client, side of things, but you could, right? You could take advantage of that situation. And that's the way it was back in the, early 2000s. So I never really thought of this, but it's eye-opening. And, like you were saying, our MLS, our back-end system, you would think that as realtors, we would have this amazing back-end system. And you can get a lot of information, but it's not a good-looking back-end system. It's not like a jaw-dropping thing that it should be with the amount of money that we're paying people to have the tools that we need to sell real estate. It's pretty archaic, honestly. So if that's archaic, then you got to think, is there security up to date? And so I think this is a really big thing for all of our regional MLSs to do is make sure that you're not going to get a ransomware attack or something else. So you better heavy up on that security.
I'm hoping if our system looks so archaic that they're spending all that money on security and not the system.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Yeah, that's
maybe
the key.
Maybe they are, maybe they're
Please.
not. But we use CoreLogic. CoreLogic owns Bright MLS. Bright MLS owns CoreLogic. One of them own the other, and apparently CoreLogic is good. I've got good things to say about CoreLogic, and apparently, what is the other one? Rapatoni is not so hot, and Rapatoni just posted on Twitter that they're still working on the fix. They don't have a timeline for when this is back up. Now, this was like 4 days ago. They haven't updated their Twitter, but they've only posted like one tweet in the past like 2 weeks. So maybe this is fixed, maybe not. But I mean, we freak out if the MLS is down for an hour. This has been down for days.
Yeah, and they said that they're going to different sites and they're doing workarounds for this, but like their offices are now that everybody's coming into the office saying, hey, what listings you got coming up? What, like that kind of thing. So there's more correlation in that regard. But, now Facebook, hey, I got this listing coming up. Now, what's the rules now? I mean,
well, this just looks like realtors having to do work. Yeah. It's like, what does the public think? The public is like, oh, wait, you have to make a phone call? Wait, you have to meet with other agents and tell them about new listings? Isn't this just realtors doing their job normally?
Yeah, but you know what? I'll say that real estate has changed so much since the early 2000s when I started. I mean, we used to do so much work on that regard, but now I would say that we are doing more work now with the whole social media thing. The things that you need to do to keep your business going is way much more work than it was back then. It was so much more simple because you had control of everything and you were just making phone calls to those few people. What stunk was that sometimes I was taught, just leave a message and go, right? If they had a message,
they better check that machine.
They better check that machine. And, that was the way I was taught. So I'd be like, hey, this is Shawn and I'll be at your house between 4 and 4:30. And I would show up. And now I'm thinking, like, going back, I'm like, ooh, man, that was not good, but that's the way I was taught, and it worked back then. But I walked into a few where maybe they didn't get that message, or they were sleeping on the couch, like I said. But anyways, I think that this is a big eye opener. MLS is around the world. Please heavy up.
Definitely. Well, drop us a comment down below. Let me know what you think if an MLS were to get hacked. Well, if that would be a bad thing, or hey, maybe agents have to pick up their phone and make phone calls. So let's move on to our next topic. This comes to us from a couple different news sources. We're going to go with NBC News. It is about the fires in Maui. First came the deadly fires on Maui, then the looters and speculators. Island residents say they have seen people stealing gas from tanks and have gotten calls from real estate investors looking to buy their properties. So everyone by now has seen the devastating footage coming out of Maui. I know Shawn, has been to
Lahaina.
Has been to Lahaina, and Lahaina, is absolutely devastated. I think that the death count is in the 90s. I think there's still over 1,000 people missing and unaccounted for. So that number keeps rising. The city has been decimated by the fires, and now comes the worst part, where people see opportunity and people see money. This is Maui real estate. This is some of the most coveted real estate in the entire world, and certainly in the country. Big stars like Oprah Winfrey own millions of dollars worth of property here, and a lot of people want to get their hands on it. And unfortunately, where there's devastation, there's also opportunity for real estate speculators and developers to cash in on bottom dollar prices and opportunities. And Shawn, whenever there's a natural disaster, there are terrible collateral events that happen afterwards. My question to you is, how do you balance giving someone the opportunity to cash in and to get a lot of money, with the obvious elephant in the room of targeting a victim of a deadly national event like this that has taken lives, family, property, and all the above?
I mean, you have to stop it. I don't think that it should be allowed. They were saying there's a lot of angry residents, and they've just gone through something so catastrophic, and they're still like trying to grasp what happened. And I got married on Maui. I drove around that entire island. Lahaina was the coolest town. When I was there, I was like, man, this is like the quintessential small town beach town. It was so awesome. And when I started hearing about these fires, I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. It can't be that. And then I'm like, the town is gone. I never imagined that this would happen there. I couldn't even think of it happening. Like, how did it start? All that stuff. But it completely leveled that town. And when I saw the pictures, I was blown away. And this is the thing, is there's always bottom feeders in every business. And there's always people that are all about the money. They're not about people's feelings. They're not about, people's lives. And it's unfortunate that people see opportunity in people's losses like this, but there's always going to be them. And, what like one resident was saying, there should be a moratorium on sales. You should not be allowed to sell. Like, governor, stop the sales. Do not allow them. We need to raise money for these people. And I think that's where it starts. It's like, we need to start a fund. We need something so that these people can rebuild. And, it takes time for insurance companies to come out and assess this stuff before they get their money. Think about the payments that they still have to make. So these banks need to say, listen, we're going to give you a stop on your payments for right now because we know you've been devastated. How are you going to rebuild? Some people have lost family members, lost their lives. How do they go back to work at this point? How do they pay for this stuff? So I think it has to be like a threefold thing, where first we stop the sales. No builders are allowed to come through and just buy up land because they see opportunity from somebody else's misfortune. Number two, the banks have to say, listen, we see your misfortune and we're going to stop payments. And I know this isn't the right thing to do as far as like business, but it is the right thing to do as far as humanity. And let's stop and help them. And if that doesn't happen, then there needs to be a fund created, both either through the government, right? I mean, it has to be a disaster area where they're giving funds in, or, we have to start a fund to help these people. I mean, there's 2,200 homes that have been devastated and completely washed out by this. And so there needs to be something done so that people don't lose this. And the thing about Hawaii is it's just so good the way it is, right? And it should stay that way. It shouldn't be these big developers coming in and, taking over this. It's a pristine island, and it has the right builds there right now. And once you give developers this land, they're going to take over and they're going to take it, and it's all about a money grab. And so anyways, I think that's what needs to happen.
Hawaii Governor Josh Green estimated the fires have caused $6 billion worth of damage. I mean, you think of Hawaii and small towns, and when you see the visuals, it's one thing. I think of just, an island, but the fact that there's $6 billion worth of damage is entire infrastructure. That the tourists have all been evacuated. Their residents are saying, don't come here thinking you're going to get, food and water. There are no resources left. People are angry. A lot of bad things are happening. People are going into survival mode. And, it reminds me, before real estate, I was in software sales over the phone. And after Hurricane,
Katrina?
No, Sandy. After Sandy.
Actually, I was in Hawaii during Hurricane Sandy. It's funny that you bring that up, because we had a hurricane here, and I was there for like 7 days in Hawaii, and I'm like, my wife and I were just like, I wish we had 3 more days. And then Sandy came through, and we couldn't get out, so we're stuck in Hawaii for 3 more days. Anyways, that's my rant. Go ahead.
So Hurricane Sandy, and we got hit in Northern Virginia, nothing like New York, New Jersey. So we go back to the office and we pick up the phone. We call the numbers that are on the list. We're not looking at the area codes. We're calling people on Long Island. We're calling people on the Jersey Shore. We're calling people, that have been hit hard by this hurricane. And someone, we got an email a couple hours later, and it was like, please do not call people in these areas. Like, a natural disaster has, obviously just happened. And it made me realize that even if this person needs a marketing software, even if this person needs $200 press releases, now's not the time. Now's not the place. And it's certainly, I'm certainly not solving their problem when they're trying to figure out their next meal, and I'm trying to figure out how I can make a little commission.
And that's exactly it. Know your time and place. I mean, this isn't a time for a business grab. This is a time to help out people in need. It's not a time to try to scoop up property on the cheap because there's no existing property there. It's the wrong thing to do. So stop doing it. These natural disasters are tough, and we need to be compassionate in helping these people rebuild, and that's it, and build it the correct way. Lahaina was just an amazing spot. And even the restaurants, the restaurants that were right on the water that we went to, they're gone. People then don't have the jobs to go to. They have to rebuild this whole town. This is going to take years and years to do. So where do all these people go? It's rough.
Well, drop us a comment down below if you've been to Lahaina, you've been to Hawaii, Maui. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, and another thing that's happening is, this is one of the number one tourist destinations in America, right? There's so many people that go there from all walks of life, all throughout the world. And people are going there still. They have their vacations planned. They're going there to vacation. Think about that. Think about if you were staying, in a town close to Lahaina or on the West Side Mountains or somewhere else in Maui, and you still have to be respectful. They were complaining that, those people out there snorkeling when, we're still looking for our loved ones. And so it's almost like, yeah, you're on vacation, but you also have to think, my gosh, these people are going through hell. And maybe it's not the best thing to go snorkeling right by where this all happened. Go somewhere else.
Cancel your trip. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to in or out, whether Shawn battles in or out on 3 properties across the United States. Shawn, let's go down to Miami. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos buys home in Miami's Billionaire Bunker. Bezos is paying $68 million for a 3-bedroom waterfront home, which sits on 2.8 acres. Him and Lauren Sanchez, who is his fiance wife, they were looking for a new or renovated mansion, and they ended up buying this one. It has 9,300 square feet. It previously sold for $1.4 million in 1982. It's in Indian Creek Village, which is home to Tom Brady. It's home to Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and a few other celebrities. And Shawn, they're going to tear it down. They're going to buy it for $68 million, and they're going to tear it down, and then they're going to build their new mega mansion. Shawn, are you in or out on the Billionaire Bunker for $68 million?
Of course, man. If I got billions like this, I'm buying that thing too, because you know what it's all about down there? It's about scarcity. There's only a few islands down there where you can actually buy. And 2 acres on an island is insane. One thing that you said, it was a 3-bedroom, like a 3-bedroom house, but it was how many square feet? Like a humongous house with only 3 bedrooms. So naturally that doesn't suit the thing. And it was last sold. Could you imagine? Your family buys this thing for 1 point something million back in the 80s, and now it's worth $65 million. That's insanity what real estate does. And this is the key that you always have to remember. This was how many years ago? 40 some years ago. In 40 years, you could have made 50, 60 some million dollars on one thing. Yeah, granted, back in the 80s, $1 million something was a lot of money, but geez, oh man, did you just do your family a service, right? I mean, and this is what we say all the time is like, buy. So,
well, this is only happening in Miami or Dubai or New York.
Of course.
You're not buying an Ashburn farm in the 1980s and selling it for $68
even that,
million.
But think about this. All right, so like I use Pittsburgh for where I grew up and Arlington as examples. You know, Pittsburgh, where I grew up, my family home, you know, when they bought it, I think they paid $70,000. You know, it might be worth $300 now, okay? Somewhere around there. They don't go up astronomically. But in Arlington, if you would have bought that same house when they bought it, they would have been about the same price, $70,000, and right now it'd be worth probably $1.2 million. So that's the thing is like, it's all, you know, a $70,000 investment might have been a lot back in the 70s. Now it's a humongous astronomical thing. And the thing that you always have to think about in real estate is not only are your property values going up, but it's the money that goes up as well, right? So like the inflation causes values to be inflated and you're actually cash grabbing a lot more money in the end. I mean, granted, it's not worth as much, but I mean, think about that. I mean, it's just nuts. So yeah, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I'm definitely in on it as well. Miami, you said scarcity. I'm just thinking, yeah, it's pretty scarce when all the islands are going underwater. But I think if you live on Billionaire Bunker, you're going to have enough money to just you're gonna have more money than the sea levels can rise.
Yes, you can always do something and build up. So
if you're the 3rd richest person in the world, you can figure out a way to not have your house go underwater. Where's Jeff Bezos gonna live? Because he's got a house in DC. He's never in DC. He's gonna have this house in Miami. I'm sure he's got a place in LA. Where's he actually gonna live?
I don't know.
He's got a yacht.
Yeah,
we'll find out. All right, well, let's stay in Miami. We got another celebrity, and we have another mansion. Rick Ross closes on Star Island pad, dropping $35 million. So Ricky Rose, Mr. Miami, closing on a $35 million home smack dab in the middle of a celebrity hotbed, 6-bedroom, 9-bathroom mansion with all the bells and whistles, 40,000 square foot house, heated pool, entertainment room, summer kitchen, plaza deck terrace opening up to the beautiful waterfront with a 40-foot dock. Other neighbors include Jennifer Lopez, Shaquille O'Neal, and Diddy. Shawn, are you in or out on the $35 million Star Island pad?
Matt, that's actually a really good deal. A 40,000 square foot house for $38 million. Is that what it is?
What's the price per square foot?
$950 a square foot. That's pretty good.
That's a steal.
That's a steal, I think. I mean, I just did the math really quickly on my calculator.
40,000 square foot. Yeah.
40,000 square foot house on Star Island for $38 million. That is a steal in my opinion. So yeah, I'm naturally buying this thing. Good job, Rick Ross. If you've ever been to Miami and I've driven by all these islands. It is absolutely stunning and amazing to see, you know, as you're driving down the highway and looking to your left and you see these huge boats. I've seen boats with certain celebrity names on them. I can't remember who it is, but it's amazing. And so I think if you can snag something on one of these islands, naturally, just like think about in the future what that does to your money. It's gonna go up so much because it's scarce. So I think another great investment. I'll purchase, man. I'm in.
I'm definitely in. You got me on Miami. You got me on Island. You got me on Rick Ross. There's nothing more Miami than cruising down Ocean Boulevard in South Beach with the windows down, blasting Rick Ross.
In your rented Lamborghini.
In the rented Lamborghini. Going 2 miles an hour, hitting all the stoplights.
Heck
People
yeah,
are
man.
jaywalking and yelling and fighting in the streets. I'm in. You got the gated community. You got Miami. I'm definitely in. So, I mean, speaking of like hurricanes and natural disasters, I'm thinking Jeff Bezos is just going to insulate the heck out of it. It's just going to be bomb proof. I'm thinking like when he builds the new house,
What I will say is, if you guys are new, like they're purchasing there and they're getting boats, just be careful there because there's an inlet, and I can't remember the name of the inlet, but look it up on Instagram. These people trying to get out of the inlet, it's insanity because there's such a tide coming in, and the people that don't know what they're doing are getting swallowed. Their boats are sinking. So you have to be careful when you're going from this bay out to the actual ocean. Look it up on Instagram. Pretty funny.
All right, final house comes to us from Realtor.com. A floating home, a whimsical Sausalito house on the water is listed for $730,000. So Sausalito, just north of San Francisco. It was a World War II landing craft. In Sausalito, during the war, they built landing crafts, and this one was dragged over sometime in the 1960s and then remodeled into a floating home. Reimagined as a cozy boho-style dwelling, this charmer's on the market for $730,000, $20,000 less than its initial asking price. It is 568 square feet, sits on the water alongside the dock, and is not going anywhere. Shawn, are you in or out on the 568 square foot boho style houseboat?
This is a tough one. This is funny. I've been to all of these places. Sausalito is a really cool place just outside of San Francisco. I believe Sausalito is across the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean,
yes,
it's
correct.
Across the Golden Gate Bridge. Really cool spot. Because I've been there, I know how awesome this area is. It's a really small place, but it's on the water. I mean, yeah, it's expensive, but
it's not on the. It's in the water.
It's in the water. But for $730,000 in Sausalito, I think it's scarcity and it's coolness. And I mean, I don't know the prices there, but I would think they're astronomical. So anything under $1 million has got to be a steal, in my opinion. I think I'm going to do it.
You're in.
Buy it. Yeah.
You're in.
Buy it.
Okay. You're spending a lot of money this episode.
Hey, what is that? $100 million? I've
$100 million, $730,000. I'm out. I'm out because of the boho. And I know the boho can change, the boho style. I'm not into the dream catchers and the weavers and the things hanging down from the ceiling. I know that can easily change, but I'm out because of spite, Shawn. Just like you. I'm out. They chose to go boho. I'm out because of spite. I'm not into it. You might get me on another kind of beach boat type of situation, but I'm not into this one.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's a tough one, but do yourself a favor. Go to Sausalito. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm in. I'm going to be chilling on this. Matt, you can come over and hang out. Just use a friend. You can come to my the one I bought last week with the bunker.
How's the inlet on this one? Is it a little calmer of an inlet?
I don't know.
Do you know all the inlets throughout the United States?
No, it's just sometimes you watch like those captain fails or whatever.
Well, I've seen the video you're talking about, and the quality is so crisp. Yeah. Like they zoom in on these people. What camera are they using?
There must be a guy just sitting there filming it like constantly because it's amazing that there's that many people that fail.
And it's such good entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, all right, look at these idiots.
Yeah.
Can't wait for them to fail.
They'll have this like $3-5 million boat and they're cruising. They've got these girls lounging on the front and all of a sudden they go and hit a wave and it's like, bam! And these chicks fly up in the air and the water's everywhere. And it's just like, man, you're breaking backs, breaking legs there. You have to be careful. But the thing is, how fast do you go? How do you manage this thing? Or do you just not go at certain times because of the tide? You have to be smart about this stuff when you're taking a boat out and you don't really know much about it. Me included. I don't know much about boating. I'm going to get into it, but I'm going to learn slowly. I'm going to know my waters and, make sure I...
Well, if you have any boating tips for Shawn, be sure to drop them in the comment section below. And let us know if you're in or out on these 3 properties. And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.